Okay, good evening. Today is February 27, 2023. Now it's 5:49 p.m. So, our topic discussion of today is talking about the GOP or Republican Party nomination that so far we have three people already been nominated. Those are the first of all it's a Donald Trump, and then I was very early, and then second nomination is Nikki Haley, and third nomination is DeSantis. So there are three nominations so far at the Republican Party that have been announced, which are Florida Governor DeSantis, like I said, with the super woke on the agenda, and then Nikki Haley with her confusing messages of being minority who loves to be near with the white supremacy, and Donald Trump, who announced at the very earliest or on the day that he was indicted for taking top secret sensitive government documents. So the earliest of Donald Trump announcements was due to if he's a president's nomination, then he will get a free pass. That's what he wishes, but apparently not, because Judge Sam Smith, or what's his name, they he and his team is trying to indicted him. So these are the same old theme that is lack of creativity, but just keep on imposing the issue that sold every time. Yeah, those bunch of people, the three people that we have right now, keep repeating their stuff all the time because they learn from their success of doing so, without considering a newer ideas or a new issue that they invented alone. Because it sounds like George Santos that keep on lying as it obviously work on every TV station as awesome professional, very focused on being a liars. And this grant him with all kind of TV booking and even all the way to a British market with Piers Morgan interview. So there you go. So by doing so, by keep on lying, by being a professional liars, it's like that. So as the three candidates that we have right now, they keep on repeating what they're doing. They seem enjoy in their comfort zone. Looking at their agenda and the issue that they bring, we can ask otherwise. Ourselves, if super right-wing wokeness warrior as fought by DeSantis is the answers to basic, moderate, and less educated Republican. Well, how am I supposed to come up with this less educated Republican? It's because that's what they want to be. If they're more educated, if they're more understand about the politics, then they're not going to be Republican because they know the 1% rich people, they keep on taking over the party agenda just for the tax-free that they want it to be. Not to mention to pick and choose on companies. This is DeSantis. This is DeSantis is picking. DeSantis here is is really rely on wokeness. So if super right-wing wokeness warrior as what DeSantis is the answer to basic moderate and less educated Republican, not to mention to pick and choose on companies in Florida to be rewarded or penalized for his campaign donation enforcement purposes. Is that right? They rely on that? Do we think that Republican will like that? Or Nikki Haley fighting for and women right? I wouldn't say abortion because it's a bad word. Anti-immigration, anti-tax for the rich, and anti-Medicaid extension. Are these what the moderate Republican or the less educated Republicans wants to hear? So we can ask ourselves their agenda. Or Trump, that always has the 30% of American die voters, or 30% of American means 60% of Republican voters with his outrageous attitude as sincere jokes or comedian that they want to see in the White House. So mathematically, 60% of the die-hard committing followers, no matter how Trump does not have a clear agenda or he just play by ears, there is not a single of the 60% Republican thing that's a matter. So whatever Trump is, that doesn't matter. They love it. 60% of Republican. They are just simply delivering their vote for him. They realize the 60% voters magnitude, but they try them anyway, as the donors dictate or order them to do. The donors just get tired of Trump jokes. We know donors are playing politics of the rich, but never be a fan of comedy on display. Maybe they all witnessed the joke in handling the pandemic that killed their family and friends, and finally their betting was lost during the 2020 elections. And reading the pattern of all Trumpers that lost and cannot sell above the 50% of the American voters is really frustrate them. So we saw in the last midterm election, they lost the Senates and slightly winning the Congress. So they all want to move on and take a chance with the younger and hoping on whoever comes the rich anti-tax candidate. So far, they have funneled all their donors funding to DeSantis, and it seems DeSantis is more acceptable to the rich people donor expectation. With his super right-wing wokeness or anti-left-wing super wokeness, this is even better. It will create more hardened moderate and right-wing Republican cornered into a less educated and less aware of the ethical race or schooling, and even harden them on the fight ability in more rough and violence with hatred over their inability to understand the new technology and new norm of the 21st centuries. This is believed and committed by all Republicans, no matter where they are, white or black, like Kanye or even Nikki Haley, with her understanding of service and sacrifice and heritage on the Confederate flags issues. So Nikki Haley or Kanye West is a minority, but they're denying their being minority and celebrate the whiteness, which is they're not. We might think this is crazy knowing Kanye is black and Nikki is Indian and Ted Cruz is a Cuban. So these minorities are not understanding their heritage and instead deny that they were really an immigrant that has been naturalized. And they are all anti-immigrant like themselves to the gut. So what about Trump? Yes, he has a little bit of those too, and took advantage of the issue as realizing these issues are the winning issue for him in 2016. So we know that Trump's wife is also immigrant, but he's anti-immigrant, so it's ridiculous. Logically, when we ran on a radical agenda and winning a slightly margin on the electoral votes, but lost in the popular or some the whole country votes, we will start working on all the inclusive voters that might be broaden the vote basis. They will add up more votes from other moderate Democrat as he quite aware of his 60% Republican, but somehow his thinking framework and all his strategies, people that behind the strategy of Republican are all the yes men that never give him any ideas to get electoral and popular vote all together. Well, we kind of doubted if the Democrat will try to get Republican on their side by taking the Republican issue on their hand and steer them into the correct direction and more working on common understanding about women's rights, guns, and wokeness. So we never seen the TNC communication team that work on it. So this will eventually solidly divide the popular and electoral vote as it matters in the inauguration. Joe Biden has been working on this issue, but not focused on how to win the anti-work agenda, immigration agenda, gun agenda, etc., as to iron the friction and wrangle those issues of misunderstanding or misleading that need correction. It's a long-term work to make them understand to correct misleading immigration, women's rights, wokeness, and white supremacy issues. So they need to get on this issue and correct it, steering away from getting radical and becoming moderate. Do we see the pattern that Democrats try to steering away? We don't see it yet. Biden jokingly tried to do this, but not as a serious. And it's high time for all Americans to have the correct ideas about those issues instead of just harboring conspiracy theory on all of them. They might sound like the exact entertainment for the less educated Republican unfortunate life in the kitchen table. They love to say in the kitchen table, but just keep ringing this sound about their unfortunate um, mishap life. So building understanding on those issues is not less important than getting a creative idea to cheat them or to treat them as just voters to win the rich people agenda and their own malicious ambition over the shoulder of less educated Republican. It might sound like democratic strategies, but this strategy will also apply to the Republican if they are ready to face the reality and play politics not based on accusation or disinformation or propaganda, fear mongering, and false hate idea. This is at the end of the day will strengthen the US domestically as fortunately globally. The US is getting the position of the most powerful country in the world that simply can show a strong leadership in the G7 and NATO, or simply a show of superiority in this couple of years. Like the real blockade of Putin from world civilization after attacking a sovereign nation and threat to Xi Jinping to block Chinese economic from global trade, if ever aiding and abetting Putin in the mass killing of Ukrainians. Luckily, we can start believing that our intelligence community report on China will supply Putin with lethal weapon like Iran, and we can base on it in reminding Xi Jinping to not prolong the unending war and it actually has brought down the global economic problem. As a leader, Xi Jinping has a limited understanding of the global trade blockade that meant for China by the US. As we all know, Xi is always trying to test the water in a worse stealing technology or surveilling the US with spy balloon. Luckily, Biden has an open communication with Xi to deter all of the obvious tricks. Unlike during the Trump presidency, that I believe Xi, Putin, and FSB or Lavrov has more credibility than our government agency, as he called them, the deep state. Surprisingly, after went through with so many interrogation, investigation that weren't cooperated with Chinese, when WHO collecting sample and forensic data on COVID, now the world believe more likely concluded that COVID was leaked from the Wuhan lab. So they start believing in that, and they start talking about it, and they start telling China to open up with the information and the forensic, so that they can prove it otherwise. So how could it be proved otherwise if China against the investigation and unwilling to cooperate? It seems suspicious. While the WHO scientists could not recover the forensic of any sick animal as an agent of transmission to a human. So there you go, why now China is in spectacles again for being an evil. And this is so hard, this is so bad for the PRC in the world state as an angel for the third world when it's actually killed their citizen with COVID, allegedly. Sounds more like drama and entertainment, doesn't it? These are all like crazy, super crazy drama. I bet you like this entertainment more than the truth and common sense. Remember, it was a time full of jokes and satirical comedians era, as we were not like a serious country during Trump presidency. Even our allies and the whole world thought that we were just such an embarrassing laughing stock. We were thinking that we were living in an avatar country. That is what they call it in a reality show. Or if I can dramatize it, in the fentanyl pandemic terms, think if we were drugged with opioid and we kept on dreaming and imagining stuff. So Joe Biden showed strength and success in dealing with global inflation and normalizing or working supply chains, lower unemployment rate, and this has not reached the rural Republican pockets or has never reached them. So they don't have no idea that the inflation is start getting under control, that the immigration also start under control. They have no idea. It is a problem in the DNC or Democratic Party communication team. They cannot communicate this in the right way and convince the deep pocket of Republican. Those days is gone. And it's time to show our superiority domestically and start building a super country without being showed down, slowed down by some cheap talk or TikTok congressman or wokeness, etc., that will never contribute to our strength and creativity as a nation. What we have seen right now is a display of right-wing Republican on TV and the media that keep bringing up the unimportant fake issues that always backfire shamefully in the Congress. Do we really seriously have quality congressmen and congresswomen who are actually popular and pocket so much funding from the shameful act? Well, don't be surprised That is the exact word of the rich donor who want to disrupt the middle class American welfare and not their only their own only. So basically, they just want to disrupt it from the middle class agenda. That way, when they take over the country, and they will impose the super rich agenda that definitely will delete all the tax just for the rich. So thank you for listening and have a great day. Bye bye.